All right, so last year, I don't know how y'all learned it, but I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you might have learned it. Okay, so the first way that I'm going to teach you is table building. And what we're looking at is equations when they give us the slope and a point, but that point is not the y-intercept. Now remind me again, why is this not the y-intercept? Because it doesn't start with 0. It has to start with 0 for it to be your y-intercept. All right, so this first method is called table building. And the second method I'm going to teach you today is literally just how they taught me to do it when I was a kid. I don't know what it's called. I used to call it MXYB or XYMB, but it's basically substitution. Okay. Does this table look familiar to any of y'all? Yeah. And then some of y'all would write process in the middle, but we're not going to write process. We're gonna make like a skeleton equation. Okay. I know it sounds really dark. It's not even Halloween. Okay, and M goes there. It is almost, right? And B goes there. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so in order for me to write an equation in slope-intercept form, I need my slope and I need my y-intercept. Okay, did they give me either one of those up here? They gave me the slope of -5, and they gave me this point. So they gave me the slope of -5. So yay on that, I know one of them. Okay. And then they gave me the point -2, 16. So all I'm doing is I'm putting all of that in this crazy looking table. This is what my equation is eventually going to look like. It's mx plus b. And I just put like an m and a b under there so I remember where I put these things. Well, I already know what the slope is, my m, so I'm going to plug that in. There's lots of different ways. Okay, I'm going to show you this way first. Okay. So I know I have -5x plus something equals y. Well, right here I have an xy pair. So I'm going to say -5 times x. For this line, x is -2. Plus something equals 16. -5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus something equals 16. 10 plus what equals 16? 10 plus... Can more of you tell me that 10 plus 6 is 16? You're hurting my heart here. 10 plus what equals 16? 6. Thank you. Okay, 6. So that means that b is 6, so my equation is y equals -5x plus 6. Okay? Oh, something exciting is happening next door, and we're all missing it. No. Okay, what questions can I answer about this? You're like, I don't even know what to ask. Okay, so again, let me go back through it again. Here, I'll even rewrite it. Okay. So I start with this, right? And then they give me the point -2, 16. Okay. I need to know my slope and my y-intercept. Well, they gave me -5 as my slope. So I'm going to start by plugging that in here. And then I'm going to use this point, use this x and this y to try to figure out what b is. So -5 times x, which this column says is -2, plus I don't know what is going to equal 16. -5 times -2 is positive 10. 10 plus 6 is 16, so that means the missing number is 6. Okay? So then I can write my equation, -5x plus 6. Well, y equals -5x plus 6. Which is, wow, it's a whole situation over there, which is what I got here. Okay? Yes? They're always going to give you x and y when you're doing this. Okay? Now, they're not always going to give you slope, though. So this one, in this problem, they gave me the slope and a point. But in this one on the next page, they didn't give me the slope and a point. They just gave me 2 points. Okay? Is either one of these points my y-intercept? No, because neither one of these start with 0. Okay? So using this method, it's going to start out the same. Okay? I'm going to make my crazy looking table. We're going to put x and y there. And then I'm going to make my little skeleton equation. My m there and my b there. Huh? I'm just calling it, it's like the process column, but I'm calling it the skeleton equation. I don't know what it's called. I call it a skeleton because it's bare bones and I'm going to hang some skin on it, which is a little dark. I'm really sorry that it went there. I'm sorry. It is becoming the Halloween season, but yeah, I mean, like, Yeah, I'm sorry, it went to a dark place. Okay, so now I'm going to put these two coordinates in my table. Now, when I put them in the table, I'm going to leave a little space between them. And the reason I'm going to do that is because over here, you see how I used this space right here to kind of do my process? I want to leave a little space. I don't know which of these ordered pairs I'm going to use, but I want to make sure that whichever one I use, I leave a little space. Now, again, remember, don't worry about wasting space in your book, because I mean, we have all the space you need, okay? Whichever, if you run out of space in your notebook, we'll get you another one. Okay, so don't worry about wasting space. There's no wasting space. These trees are already gone, okay? Sorry. Okay, so remember how I told you when we solved these over here, these easy ones on Friday, I told you like you kind of want to look for the y-intercept first. If you don't find it, you have to find the slope first. So I looked for the y-intercept, I don't see it. So now I have to find slope, because I find the slope and then I use the slope to find the y-intercept. Okay? So I'm going to start, well, first of all, I need M and I need B. I don't have either one of those yet. So I'm going to find my rate of change. Delta y and delta x. Okay, so my delta y is here and my delta x is here. Now, when first and second period were taking their quiz today, I noticed that one of the biggest mistakes they were making is instead of doing delta y over delta x, they were doing delta x over delta y. And like legit, this is like an honest mistake to make, because you've been like plotting points since you're in the 5th grade. And we're like, x then y, x then y, x then y, x then y. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, hold the phone, y then x. So like it's understandable that you're so used to x then y that all of a sudden I'm telling you to do it backwards and you're like, whoa, okay. So we still plot points x then y. But if you find yourself making that mistake where you're giving me the reciprocal, so instead of giving me 1/2, you're giving me 2 over 1, or instead of giving me 2/3, you're giving me 3 over 2, you're flipping that fraction because you're doing change in y then change in x, or change in x over y. Draw yourself an arrow going that way when you're finding slope, just to remind you. Now again, this is only, if you're doing it fine, don't worry about it. But if you find yourself making that mistake, start drawing that arrow to help you remember. Also, always write down change in y over change in x, so that to kind of help more like cue you in that you're doing the change in y first. Okay? So how did I get from -4 to 11? Okay, so he's like plus 15, and a whole bunch of y'all are like, what? Okay, so if you were like what? Remember, if you're not sure, like you're like, I don't know, then take the bottom number minus the top. So the bottom number is 11 minus the top, which is -4, which is 15. Okay? And that'll tell you what you did to get from that one to the next ones. And likewise over here, 15 minus -10, whoops, is 25. Okay? So if you find, if it's like, -32, how did I get from -32 to 562? You're like, I don't know. Then do the bottom number minus the top number. Okay? Now, I'm going to take the bottom number, the change in y, and I'm going to put it over the change in x. Now, you can do alpha y equals, or you can just do top divided by bottom. Okay? If it gives you a terminating decimal like this, you can just leave it like that. Now, if you did like this, and it gave you something like that, then you'd have to turn it into a fraction. Okay? That all happened really fast, didn't it? Okay. So let's pretend that you got something like this. If you hit the math button right here, math, enter, enter, it'll turn it into a fraction for you. Okay? So if you, but in our case, when we did 15 divided by 25, we got just a nice, pretty, non-threatening decimal. So our slope is 0.6. We can leave it like that. So I'm going to put it there so I know how to write my equation. I'm going to put it up here so I can continue my process. And now you do what you did in the last one. Now let me ask you all a question. I can use either one of these points. It doesn't matter which one I use, I'm going to get the same answer. But which one do you think I want to use? Why do you think I want to use the second one? Because there's no negatives. It's positive. I know that Maggie Deal, my mistake is I mess up integers like all the time. I'm real bad about that. Okay, so if I don't use integers, I'm not going to mess them up. If I don't have any negatives, I'm not going to mess them up. So, but if you use the top row, you're going to get the exact same answer as I do. I just know that I make mistakes with integers. If you feel confident that you're not going to do that, use the top row. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use the bottom one. So 0.6 times x, which in this case is 15, plus something equals 11. And again, I'm going to do 0.6 times 15, and I get 9. 9 plus something equals 11. 9 plus what? 2. Okay, so b is 2. Y equals 0.6x plus 2. Now, if I wanted to check in the calculator and see if I had done that correctly, I could just hit y in y equals. I could put this equation that I got. Okay, so I got 0.6x plus 2. I'm going to put that in y equals and hit second graph and look at the table. What I should see is I should see both of these coordinates. So I see 15, 11, and then I need to see negative 10, 4. Negative 10, negative 4. So I see both of the coordinates that I'm looking for, so I know that I've done this correctly. If I don't see them both, something's gone wrong. I got to try again. Okay? What do we think about this? Okay, this method is called table building, and some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not, but now this is the method. Again, I'm showing you another method in case you like it. If you don't like it, don't use it. It's no big deal. Okay? This method is substitution. Okay, so you're back on the first one. Okay, so this method basically uses what we know about y equals mx plus b. I'll just show you. Okay, so I know that the equation, I'm trying to get it into the form y equals mx plus b. Okay, I know that I need to substitute in m and b. They gave me m, which is negative 5, but they didn't give me b. What other information did they give me? They gave me this coordinate here. What do I know about this coordinate?
An x and a y.
It's not the y-intercept, but it has an x and a y, right? So I also have an x and a y. The x I have is negative 2, and the y I have is 16. Okay, so again, all I've done at this point is list down everything they gave me. Now, what I notice is YMXB. YMXB. I've got the same letters here. The only one I'm missing is B. So I'm going to substitute these values in. Whoops. Now, you may notice that I changed my lowercase b to an uppercase b. That's because the faster I write, I don't know if you noticed, but these two things both look like 6s. The faster I write, the more my B's look like 6s, my S's look like 5s, and my Z's look like 2s. So I got to be real careful about that. You do what you... Yeah. So now I'm going to start simplifying this. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. 16 equals 10 plus B. This is a simple one-step additive equation. I want to get the B by itself. So I subtract 10 from both sides. And I get 6 equals B, which is the exact same thing I got on the other one. Same exact equation. I just did it a slightly different way. Okay, I'm going to do one more on the next page, just to show you how to do it. Okay, y'all need a second to write it down? Yeah. All right, so let's look at this one. I'm going to show you the same method with this problem, okay? So first of all, I have to find slope first, always, okay? So you could use the slope formula. You could use a tiny table. I prefer finding slope using a table. So I'm just going to make a little table here and find the slope. So I'm going to put my 2 points in here. Now, honestly, most of that I just copied from over here. So before you're like, oh my God, how'd you do it that fast? I just copied it because it's basically the exact same thing. Just instead of a giant table, I made a little tiny table.
So we can use instead of that.
Okay, hold on. So I had to find the slope first, right? I need m and b. I know that m is 0.6. I don't know what b is. So I'm going to pick one of those points. Which point do y'all want to use? We can use the first one or the second one. Let's use the second one. Okay, so I have an x of 15 and a y of 11. And I write y equals mx plus b because I'm modeling the substitution, but if after a while you're like, I don't need to write this anymore, I already know how to substitute where I'm substituting, then do you, it's good, okay? So my y was 11, my m was 0.6, my x was 15 plus b. 0.6 times 15 is 9. If I subtract 9 from both sides, I get 2 equals b. Exact same thing I got over here. And there's my equation. Okay, I get the same thing both ways. I don't care which method you use. When I teach you point slope form tomorrow, I'm going to kind of lean towards wanting you guys to use point slope form, but only because point slope form is weird and new. And it's an Algebra 1 skill. This is a 7th grade skill. Okay? This is some made-up skill from the 80s, from the 90s, and this is actually the 80s. And this is an Algebra 1 skill that you're responsible for this year. So I'm going to lean towards y'all doing it this way, but honestly, I don't care as long as you get the right answer. Okay?